Hi, welcome back to Headbangers podcast. I'm here with Nathan today. Hope you all had a good Christmas. We're in the new year now. Hopefully a better one. Who knows?
Well, how it started, Brad, it's not gonna be a better
Yeah,
one. New year, new lockdown.
yeah, straight
Oh,
into it.
because we noticed that more people listen to the podcast from America, which is fucking ace, yeah,
Yeah.
than the UK. By the way, guys, if you're in the US, the UK's gone into like another lockdown, so it's not.
I mean, tier three lockdown, I
I mean,
mean,
yeah, we
it
was
feels it
free.
feels like the same boat since March, to be honest, except for that little period in summer when we could do a bit more.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking bullshit, man. Like, we'll let you have Christmas, but then we'll completely fuck you for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And obviously, it hasn't been the best start to the new year. Unfortunately, Alex Leo has passed
Yeah,
away from Children,
yeah,
which is a big hit for me because, like, Children of Boredom, I'd class as one of those gateway bands into death metal
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Like,
No. I remember the first time I listened to Children of Boredom, um, and
special
it's
amount.
fucking awful. And not only that, we had MF Doom die as well. You know, a fucking legend doing hip hop.
Exactly. It's
He
like
died on New Year, like the night of New Year's.
it's not a good start, but honestly, Alex Leo to me, Alexi Leo, like he to me was the Van Halen of metal in a way. Like
Yeah,
his
yeah,
guitar playing was so unique and so technical. And I think he's generally going to be missed as a legend of the genre. And it's
yeah.
it's a shame.
It feels like we're having a lot of greats pass away. Like we had Riley last year.
And
Now we've had Alexi this year. Um, it's fucking shit, man. It's not started off well.
no, it
It's not.
really hasn't, to be honest. But we are in the new year, and the good thing about last year was there were some incredible releases of
Yes,
bands.
yes, that
Um,
was the only good part about last year.
Me and Nathan have picked five each that we want to go through. We picked a top song, a top artist, and also a band that we've discovered this year, which is good because I mean that is the best thing about last year is just that it's
Yeah,
so much time to discover new bands.
I know. You know what? I've got one that I'm definitely gonna fuck up the name of on this.
Sorry, Nathan.
Like it is very. Looking at it, I'm like,
To be fair, Nathan, after like watching all of our podcast episodes, we do fuck up a lot of names, but I think it's just our thing now, so we'll just
yeah,
people know to
yeah,
expect it and be
yeah.
disappointed by us.
As well, guys. We've got a little surprise coming. Obviously, Headbangers turned a year old last year, so we've got to do a little birthday treat
We
for
do, but
Headbangers.
we will be together for that. So once
Yeah,
lockdown's over,
once
we'll
lockdown's
celebrate.
over, I think the way we should do that is get once lockdown's over, and we'll allow people like multiple people. We should get all our friends and get pissed drunk
Should we
and
get
do
a
the little.
cake?
Oh my god, yeah, let's
We
get
get a
like a.
custom cake with headbangers on
Oh,
it.
should we get like a big custom like Costco cake?
I think we should.
Oh my god, let's get our logo printed on it and everything.
I think it'd be rude not to.
Well, yeah, let's get like a couple mates, yeah, and we'll do like the happy birthday podcast, and we'll all get really drunk, and there won't be any structure to it. We'll just talk shit for an hour and reflect on. Well, to start off, we'll reflect on like our opinions when the podcast first started, because there's a lot of shit in there that's actually changed.
I think we should like also just like reflect and just like watch a bit of old episodes and just see how far we've come.
Oh,
Like,
definitely, definitely. Like I think one opinion that's changed is the Bring Me Horizon opinion that I had.
oh yeah,
I was really wanting you to go back and like just edit that little bit out where I was like, oh shit, and I'm like,
probably a few more things that
nah.
you'd probably want to edit out,
I
but
was
yeah,
like, I was like, now I'm like, not actually.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so let's get into the albums anyway. We'll start off with that. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get any special guest appearances like Phil again,
Yeah,
but.
Phil won't be able to come this year, sadly.
You know what, Nathan? I forgot the award as well. We don't even have the golden award.
Well, yeah, Dylan's got it still, hasn't
Oh yeah.
he? I just did a little wink to my camera.
Have you got him? Have you got him in your room?
Yeah, I've Dylan's still got it. You know what? I wish Dylan was also in the background so we could have used him like in the last one.
I know.
That made
Missed
it a lot
opportunity.
funnier. Yeah,
Missed opportunity.
fucking thanks, Boris Johnson.
You
Fucking
fucked it
blonde
for
haired
everyone.
cunt.
Whoa. Okay, let's not. Don't group us all together. All right. So, do you want to kick us off now with your fifth album? So,
Yeah.
you've done it in order, right?
No, I've just done it in the top albums.
Okay, go on.
So I'd say my fifth is probably like Higher Power.
Yeah.
Like this, this band genuinely makes me quite happy to be from Leeds because the sheer talent this band actually has. Like this album's a complete departure from like what they've done before. Like they've gone a lot softer, and like it's just this album. I feel like it's like the perfect album to sort of chill and vibe to. Like some would say it's fiberlicious. No, but like I genuinely think that this is like this album for them is a bigger stepping stone, and some would say they've gotten a higher power from doing it. No, but
Are you gonna describe all the bands of puns?
yeah.
You haven't you? I bet you've written one for each one.
Yeah. Well, right. So, like, 27 Miles by Higher Power is just a really good release from this year. Like, well, not this year, but last year. Like, it's just so fucking good, man. I can't actually put into words how much I actually love it. Like, genuinely, it's so interesting to listen to because it's just chill, man. Like that's the best way I can
Yeah.
describe it. It's just you can just sit there and just chill out to it.
You're
And
meant
the
to
fact,
download, right?
yeah, they were meant to do download this year, but well, last year. I keep saying this year. I'm not used to it being 2021 yet.
Kind of. I mean, it's almost like it's just kind of blended into the same year again. It's just like 2020 part two.
Yeah, same shit, different year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but genuinely, if you haven't checked out 27 Miles Underwater by Higher Power, check it out because honestly, it's so fucking good.
I mean, I'll probably check it out to be honest. I've listened to a few tracks that you've sent me, but I've never sat down and listened to a full album.
Yeah, well, I bought it on vinyl. That's how good it is. I actually
That's a good one.
all these albums I've got on vinyl except for the Justice for the Damned one. Oh, spoilers. But all these albums on this list I've got on vinyl. Like that's how much I fucking love them. So what's your fifth?
So my fifth is Cryptic Shift.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because I've watched them grow up since like must be about 2013. When I first started listening to them when they first had a few tracks out. But this album is such a big stepping stone for them, and
Mm,
obviously they've got the recognition that they deserve from it. Um, Obviously from speaking to them in the podcast as well, like the lyrical themes and the musicianship, there's so much depth and thought that went into it. Even a lot more than most of what the tech bands released this year. And I think it's important for bands to continue to love what they do and always put that amount of effort and depth into the songwriting because it's like we said, like the whole album could be a film.
yeah.
Like they described one song to us which took them about 20 minutes and that shows great care to me.
Oh,
Uh,
100%, 100%. I really like that album. I wanted to put it on my list, but there was that many albums where it's like I was like looking at it and being like, I don't know if I got room because I've got a lot to speak about like these albums. I wish we'd done it like a top 10 because it definitely would have been in the top 10
oh
because I
yeah, for
fucking
sure.
loved it.
The whole album, yeah, it's just a big journey from start to finish, and there's some amazing riffs in there. But it's also got that immersive feel, like the whole space vibes and the different sounds that they experiment with. It just helps to create an album that's not just one dimensional with just guitar riffs and
Mm,
blast beats. Like there is moments when it kind of goes more melodic, and it's just an amazing album
yeah, it really
and
is.
they deserve all the recognition that they've got from it. And I've actually bought the vinyl on the website.
Really,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
on Blood
order it. I'm
Harvest.
gonna order
Yeah,
it. I've got I've got I've got the cassette.
oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the cassette. It was a nice little Secret Santa present from Braddon from Malign. Shout out to Malign.
Yeah, shout out to
Um,
Molly.
but yeah, I got the cassette. Listened to it the other day. It's fucking sick.
Amazing. Like if you love sci-fi and you love tech death, You're gonna love this because boy, they love their space. And
Mm. I mean, did you see what Ryan put the other day? Like he did an Instagram like Q&A thing, and like what was the biggest inspiration? And I think that he said a song, or he said the album. And Ryan then replied to with the pod racing scene from from Star Wars. I was
I don't doubt it.
I was pissing myself.
But yeah, check them out. They spent a lot of time working on the album, and it's a monumental album, so check it out.
My left side of my fucking headphones buzzing, like an electronic sort of sound. It's really weird. But I think my number four is from a band called End. Yeah. Their most recent release, that like this album, oh my fucking god. Like it's so fucking good. Like it's like a smack in the face. Let me just pull up the name. Let me pull up the name. I haven't marked down the name. But
I think yeah, I've heard the name and I've heard them being shouted out quite a lot. But again, it's another one that I haven't sit down and listened to. I know that you've got it on vinyl, haven't you?
yeah. So my fourth one is from a band called End. It's called Splinters of an Ever-Changing Face. Hard hitting, full of anger. Sounds like it sounds like it'd be played in like the deepest depths of like a cave in Iceland. Like you could imagine like some kind of Norwegian, Icelandic dwarf sat there blasting this shit out. Like it's like I'd say it's like hardcore, but it's got a lot of like it's a very weird thing to describe because it's like got the shouty vocals of hardcore and it's very hard hitting, but it's also very atmospheric, much like black metal.
I think
Like there's
when you describe a band that it's interesting and you can't quite place it, it usually means that it's a better album than most.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
you don't want something to just be flat standard with what to expect. You want something that's going to wow you.
100%, 100%. That's the thing about it. It's like I can't actually like describe what it is because it doesn't sound like any other band. It sounds like them, which is like what every other band I feel strives for. Not to sound like someone else, to sound like them.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to say what it's like because it's so it's just really fucking like it's heavy but melodic.
Oh
It's
yeah.
atmospheric. And I got it on vinyl. Got a quite rare one as well.
Just to point out, in case you didn't know.
It's an evil greed exclusive. Got it all the way from Germany. No, but it's honestly, if no one's checked out this album, again, please fucking check that out. Because there's so many underrated bands out there, and I feel like End is one of them.
Well, hopefully they'll start to get the recognition that they deserve. Then, I mean, I listened to a song in the shower today
Mm.
because I was like, I kind of want to listen to what you picked as well, so I can talk about it. I didn't really have time to listen to every album, both mine and yours, but I listened to a song and it sounded like something I'd be into. So
Yeah. It's one of those where you do like a double take when it starts. You're like,
yeah, so,
oh,
what I say, it was an interesting shower.
oh yeah.
Let's spraying the showers all
Was it
over.
for more than one reason, bro?
The magician never tells. But yeah, just a little mid shout out. Thank you. Obviously, I know the Grammys was cancelled, and they asked me and Nathan to take over this year. So
Yeah.
we're
I mean,
truly
we
honoured.
don't want to flex or anything, but
Don't
we
want
were
to flex.
definitely going to be hosting those Grammys.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, we heard you hit over 100 listeners on Spotify this year. I was like, yeah, man. Like, yeah.
We do it. Yeah, it's not a biggie, really.
Yeah, well, I had my suit picked and everything, and I'm really disappointed we couldn't go.
But they said to us, they're like, you know what, you and Nathan, you're going to be the highlights this year, so we'll strip everything back. Just you guys, two cameras, two mics, and that'll be the Grammys.
Yeah, no, like, you guys just do it so much better than us, and we were like, oh, thank you. It's like the way you judge albums is revolutionary, and like, oh, we were like, thank you, mate, but it's But it's just me and Brad.
Please. Please. I mean, I think our picks are probably going to be better anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, oh, the new Cardi B album's good. I'm like, yeah.
This is the metal section, right?
Which section's this, mate?
Right. So my fourth one, and Nathan can definitely agree with this one. Ingested, where only gods may tread. Now, we did a review of this. I'm not going to go too much into depth. You can watch the review and it gives us more views. So,
yeah, we need them. We need them.
them.
We're trying to get sponsors here, man.
Yeah. Well, I want to get sponsored by G Fuel. Like,
or Keemstar. We're going to start like a drama channel.
could do. I don't think that's been done in the metal genre. But, Ingested, on this podcast, we must praise them every single episode, and for good reason. Like, ever since I discovered them when they released Level Above Human, they just keep getting better and better. And they're slowly moving away from the slam tag that they were first grouped in with. And I think there's so much more now than that. Like, you've got death metal influence, you've got deathcore, you've got even a bit of black metal influence, especially with that experimental album that they released in between them. Jason's gutturals, they're so much more refined.
Oh, yeah.
And the things that he can do with his voice, like the highs and the lows, it's just, you can tell that they really put so much time and effort into this album, and also experimenting with long songs. They had a 9-minute song, which I don't think anybody expected from Ingested. And
that was such a, like, this album's such a curveball. That's
the
thing.
It's really abstract.
Curveball. Like, you hear Ingested are releasing a new album. You go, I'm gonna hear breakdowns and breakdowns and breakdowns, and I'm gonna want to knock someone's fucking head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they go, yeah, but we've made a 9-minute song, and it's like a proper. It's a bit proggy.
It's progressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're there like, yeah. Curveball. Like, it's a straight curveball, mate. This album wasn't like listening to what any album Ingested did before at all, and it's so interesting.
No, it really is. I like all the discography, but this album to me is, I mean, they're getting a lot of recognition for it, and good, because this album is amazing. Like, it's got everything that you need from it. You do have your what to expect from Ingested with like Follow the Deceiver, which is fucking amazing track.
Oh,
As soon as it goes in, there's so many good riffs, but the drumming as well, like it's so technical. There's so many blast beats. There's really nice fills in between the songs. Like, I think I can't choose between that and Level Above Human, but they're both ranked my highest Ingested records.
Yeah. I honestly, again, I wish we had done a top 10 because it would have definitely been on there. It was really weird making this list because there was that many ones that I listened to. I think like this year solidly has been the year I've listened to the most albums.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
Like, this year is like, because I've had the time to do it.
Yeah.
Not this year, last year. Again, last year. But I think last year was like, obviously there was nothing else to do. So all I did was just listen to new albums. And I was like, it's so hard to condense it all into 5. Because there's so many fucking good ones out.
Well, you're completely right. And, last year, I'm doing it.
So you're doing it too?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Like, you give other bands more chances. Like, you spend more time trying to discover new bands, as opposed to before. Like, if you don't have much time in your day, you might just stick on albums that just because you can't bother to sift through loads of bands and trying to find some gems in there. But I managed to find a lot of good ones this year.
Yeah. I've actually found bands that I'm going to listen to probably right until the fucking day I die.
Yeah, literally.
Like, just this year. And I didn't know who the fuck they were in 2019. And I listened to them, I was like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, shout out to a band called Tsunami. I've been listening to them all the fucking time. They're fucking sick. And I wouldn't have found them if it weren't for, like, in a weird way, if it weren't for COVID. Because I was literally trapped in my house and I managed to find like just a random band.
In a way, like, 2020 has not been the best year, but for releases, it's been good.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been one of the best years for like, actual music releases.
I completely
So
agree.
again, we had Venom Prison release a pretty banging
Oh yeah,
album.
Napalm
Again,
Death.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I wish that again. Wish we had the top 10 because both those would have been in the top 10.
I think we just want to keep doing it more though. Be like, top 10, top 20. Like, we could probably do a top 50 to be honest.
You know
Easily.
what? I reckon if we were going, not even for like last year, but I reckon for like all time, we could easily do a top 100 of our favorite albums.
Oh yeah, 100. Smash it out in a day. That'd
Yeah,
be
no,
easy.
I would actually be able to make a list of 100 and be like, right, guys, here's a challenge. If you think that's a nice idea, like and comment on this video, yeah, and we'll do it if it gets enough. See, YouTube's promoting engagement with their creators.
Yeah.
So by doing shit like this, we'll get more engagement. So just
Evens it out.
don't tell them though. Don't tell them.
So
So
what's your third then?
my third is Code Orange Underneath. All
Damn,
right,
that's another one I forgot about.
a complete mashup and sound, a complete mashup of sound and madness. So it completely solidifies how unafraid Code Orange is of actually just experimenting.
Oh yeah.
Like this album is so all over the place, but so coherent at the same time. Like it's everything's so, like there's so many different elements. Like the sounds that they actually make in it as well is very alarming. Like it makes you have a sense of being uneasy. And I think it's just a game changer for heavy music in general. And I can understand why they got that Grammy nomination, man. Like this is a fucking good album. And it's just I think it just personifies how insanely ahead of the time they are. Do you know what I
What's
mean? Like,
impressive as well is that, like you said, they won a Grammy for the Forever album, and to top that was quite a big task, but they did manage to do it. And like Underneath does not sound like Forever. It sounds like a
oh,
completely different
yeah.
album. Like there's a lot more electronics in there. Um, again, like just experimenting with different sounds and like also some like nice catchy choruses in there. Like the
Mhm.
song Underneath itself and Swallowing the Rabbit Hole, they are quite
Yeah.
good sing-along songs as well.
Very, very catchy songs. Very,
Yeah.
very catchy songs. As well, like they also managed to put on an amazing stage performance on a live gig, and it was one of the best ones from this year. I think it was voted the best live performance from
I
this
think
year.
I think that they actually were the first ones to do that. I might be wrong, but I remember seeing that right near the start of lockdown. So I'm sure that they were one of the first people to do like a live performance in the metal genre.
I think there was others that did it before Code Orange, right? But I think Code Orange were the only ones that did it to the level that did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They did it in, I think it was October on a Halloween show, sold a shit ton of merch along with it. And also, I watched it, and compared to like other live gigs, pretty fucking entertaining, to be honest.
I gotta
Like,
say though, I don't think it would have been the best one. I haven't seen it, but people need to watch Behemoth's live gig because oh my god,
yeah, I
that
need
was
to.
cinematic.
Is that available to rent?
Ah, I don't know to be honest. Like, I mean, I purchased my ticket, and I'm sure there was something that said you can watch the live recording again. You know, if you've got an account, or it might have said it may be available for 48 hours afterwards. But I
Yeah.
don't know. But that was incredible. They should make a DVD of it, and I'd buy it. Really would.
You'd buy it again.
I would buy it again.
But honestly, you know what? There's just a lot of props to go to Code Orange this year.
There is.
'Cause, like they fucking smashed it, really smashed it, and they're just a fucking insanely talented band.
They are changing the game, and no one can deny that. Like people can love or hate Code Orange, but you can't deny the mastercraft.
As well, you know, I genuinely think they do a lot of tours and shit like that with Slipknot. Yeah, I think they're like the next Slipknot. Like I reckon they will be as big as Slipknot is now in a couple of years.
I mean, maybe to be honest, like the rise that they've had after having. I mean, I know that they were called Code Orange Kids first. I haven't listened to much of what they released before, and I don't know how you can find it on Spotify, but I know that their career hasn't been that long, and to say the publicity and the reception that they've got from their releases, you know, they are on a high path.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
100%. These guys are amazing, and that's why that's why it's on the list. It were worth talking about.
That's very true. So my third one, a little band that you might not have heard of called Trivium. I know they're not as
Every
small as
fucking
other
year
bands.
Trivium releases an album, it's going to be on your top 5, Brad. Let's
It
face
is. Just expect it from now, because at the end of the day, they are one of my favourite bands, and they have been for a long time. I don't know if it's nostalgia or because they're a fucking great band, but like they've smashed out the park once again. You know, they made Sin in the Sentence, which is fantastic. They've come back now with What the Dead Men Say, and what I love about Trivium is that every album sounds different, but it still sounds like Trivium, and they really shows in this one. But this one to me is it's like a cocktail made of all the albums. And if you listen to certain songs, like you've got The Defiant, which sounds like Ascendancy, which I'm sure like it will please a lot of the old fans. And then you've got Catastrophe, which has some of those catchy choruses you've come to love, like that remind me of the In Waves era. And you know, I think when it comes to musicianship, like no one takes it more seriously than Matt Heafy. Like, you know, he's always honing his skills. He practices a fucking shit ton. And I think this album, it's got a lot to offer. And even in the musicianship, you know, you've got elements that you can tell that the members like you've got some blast beats. You've even got a few like tech death riffs. Because I know that Matt Heafy listens to like a lot of different types of music and a lot of different bands, and you can see all the influence come together in this one. Like, what did you think of the new Trivium?
I listened to it a couple of times. I did like it, and I do agree with like what you were saying. Like, but I didn't listen to it a lot. That's the problem. I didn't really listen to it a lot. Like Trivium, I like him. I love him. Yeah. I just don't really. I never really listened to them a lot. Like they were one of the gateway bands for me, but then
Yeah,
I eventually kind of like not lost interest, but started listening to other stuff, and I find it hard sometimes to go back and listen to Trivium, if you get me.
they've been around for so long, and because they change up every album, you know, it helps to keep it fresh.
Mm.
And you know, if they were to make the same album over and over again, I don't think I'd keep listening to them, because there has been bands that I've loved in the past that, you know, they kind of play it safe. Let's say that they play it safe, and it's okay. But then you might find a band that has that style that maybe does it better, or you just go back to the old albums. But with the musicianship always advancing and changing, you know, I always like to come back to them, and every album to me has a unique twist of its own.
Mm. So my number 2. We're in the top 2s, Brad.
I know.
We're in the top 2s.
Flying for it, mate. Flying for
Top
it.
2s. But in my top 2, now this was a hard decision, like really hard. Yeah, but my second favorite album this year is. Can you guess, Brad? Can you just
Is
guess?
Was it hard because you've had to like pick it in the last 30 minutes?
No, it's Gulch, Impenetrable Cerebral Fortress.
Oh, I listened to that one, didn't I? Because we talked about it, didn't we, on the podcast before?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing album. The entire album sounds like a fucking like one track, because I remember the first time I watched it, right? Well, not watched it, but listened to this album, and I was like kind of just walking to work, and my commute to work is about an hour, and I was there like fucking hell. I wonder how far I am into this album, and I was on the last song, and I didn't even know. Like that's how good the transition between each song is. Yeah, you don't even notice. You don't even notice. I thought I was listening to one song. I was like, this song's really long. And I checked it, and I was like, oh my god, the transitions are just seamless. Like it's actually impressive how seamless it is. Um, I can literally listen to this album on repeat and never get bored.
Must be a
Like
good song then.
it's a fucking amazing album. I listen to this album like every other day. I could literally listen to it on repeat. Ever since it came out, I've listened to it on repeat. And I fucking love it. It sounds like raw and aggressive, which is what hardcore should be. And I feel like Gulch are like the leading hardcore band at the minute. Like we've got other bands like Jesus Piece and stuff like that, which I think are also a close second to leading hardcore. But in terms of, like sound and like just being experimental and interesting, I think Gulch is the number one because they're just so they'll put anything like they'll put a lot of shit into hardcore that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think, but also keep it like it was still meant, like it was always in hardcore. Like there's a lot of trend picking in this album, so it's like taken from black metal. There's a lot of trend
Yes.
picking in black metal.
That's what I picked up on
Um,
when I listened to it as well.
well, yeah, they've got that, but you don't think, oh, this sounds like a black metal thing. It sounds like it's always been like a hardcore thing, and that's like what Gulch are good at. They're good at taking stuff and going, right, let's do it in our way, and transversing it into hardcore, and you're like, oh my god, like this album was just jaw-droppingly good. And it was so hard putting it number two, but my number one is incredible. Like so, honestly, this album's amazing. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out because it's so fucking good.
It was certainly a unique listen, and I could definitely pick up on the elements that were put in from other genres. Like it didn't just sound like a hardcore record; it sounds like just a record of its own.
Well, Kerrang put a really interesting article up. Shout out to Kerrang.
Yeah.
No,
Cheers for the sponsor.
But yeah, Kerrang put a very interesting like album, not album, but article up, and they do mention Gulch in it, where it's like it was the title kind of like, is it metal? Is it hardcore? Let's talk about modern hardcore. And I read it, and it's basically like what I'd been saying for like it's like years, where it's like hardcore's rising, and it's not just like punk anymore. Like it's its own breed of music, and it just like kind of like solidified for me what I think is going to happen, that hardcore is going to be a very dominant genre in the future.
I think so as
And
well. And
Gulch is a prime example.
there's a lot of bands coming out that you can only describe as heavy. Like you can't place them in metal or hardcore or certain things. You can just describe it as heavy, which I think is important because we're getting rid of some sort of labels that push bands into a certain category, which means that they struggle to come out of it. Like
Mhm.
I know there's a lot of bands that that get a bit frustrated with being called a certain thing because then people only associate them with that.
Mm.
And it's kind of like they are like, weren't they disappointed with being classed as deathcore all the time, but they wanted to be classed as black and death metal or just like something a bit different?
Well, they didn't mind it in the early days, but I think they do kind of mind it now because it's like it's not I think it's like a lot of the time it's an argument of that's not what we're going for.
Yeah,
Like Die Art is like we're kind of going for like black and death metal.
yeah,
And to be fair, when you listen to Die Art, you can get that. Do you know what I mean? Like you're like,
yeah,
oh yeah, no, I can see where they're coming from with that. But like because they were, I think a lot of bands when the minute you get kind of like labeled as a genre, it's very hard to break out of that.
yeah,
Because like no matter what you do, like even like a band like Full of Hell, who was a hardcore band, but now they're a black metal band. They even get still called like a hardcore slash black metal band, but if you listen to like the most recent album, you're like, there's no fucking hardcore in this. Like,
I think with I think when a certain genre comes up and it's booming, like a lot of bands don't mind being categorized in that. But then once that maybe the genre dies down, and you might be classed as like a deadbeat band because you're in a deadbeat genre, which obviously if a band's wanting to experiment and add more elements into the musicianship, I imagine it's quite, I don't know, it's quite captivating in the
frustrating.
wrong way. Yeah,
I think it's frustrating
it
for
is
bands.
frustrating. Yeah,
I think it's very frustrating for bands. But I think Gulch, the prime example of that sort of style where it's like breaking out of like genre boundaries.
yeah,
But I think as well, like they've been very smart because they're definitely a hardcore band because they're in sit, but they've got their own sort of like feeling. And I noticed like a lot of albums that they put out, excuse me, but a lot of albums that they put out, you can notice almost like a little weird effects where a lot of bands go, "Oh, we could do something like that." and they're kind of like they take from that,
Bring
and
the
I think
influence
they're
back.
leading hardcore at the minute as a genre, in my own personal opinion.
So you're right. But yeah, so my second one is Paradise Lost with Obsidian. Now, you know, Nathan, how much I love Paradise Lost.
Yep.
But
Caleb still hates you for making
still
him
hates me
miss
for
that
making
damn.
him see then
I
instead
mean,
of nails.
I enjoyed it. To be fair, I stayed
You
with
did.
you. I stayed with you, and
You
then
had
we
fun.
watched the last little bit of nails. And to be fair, little bit of nails, really fucking good. So either way,
Everyone's a winner. So yeah, Paradise Lost, Obsidian. I think this is like a love letter to like bands like Sisters of Mercy, but also just like the Death Doom thing that they've had going since like, you know, the early 90s. It's much what I said about Trivium, like every Paradise Lost album is different, and you know, they have had such an interesting career. You know, they've made a few Death Doom albums in, you know, the last couple of years, like with Medusa. And then before that, you know, you've had these gothic rock sing-along songs,
Mm.
you know, like Faith Divides Us. But then like they had this really interesting moment in the early 2000s where they made just a full-blown goth pop album and just all electronics, no guitars. And I think with this album, they wanted to give homage to like everything that they've done in their career into one album. And you know, you've got some gothic sing-along songs like Ghosts, which is probably one of my favorite songs of the entire year. But then you've got some really hard-hitting death metal songs like Fall from Grace. Like this album is an experience, and you know, from the start to finish, you don't know what next song's going to be.
Okay.
Could be Death Doom, could be Gothic, could be a rock song, could be a metal song. But either way, it's a really good mix of like heavy and mellow, and I've enjoyed all of Paradise's Lost career. So this album to me is probably one of my favorites. I don't know if I like it more than Faith Divides Us, but like it would be at least second or third because it's just it's so good. It's really good. Would recommend listening to it.
I know I haven't listened to it yet, and I was actually intending on listening to it. But
I think you might actually like it, to be honest, because you might find it quite interesting.
I think the End album came out at the same time, and I kind of got obsessed with that for a little bit.
Did you kind of like pass it by, but you never went back to it then?
Yeah, well, I think I listened to a song.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But I think I listened to like one song. But from what I listened to, it was okay. It was really good.
What I love about like the last few years of Paradise Lost is that, you know, they've still maintained the sort of mid 2000s era Paradise Lost, but because Nick Holmes is in Bloodbath, I think he's brought the Bloodbath to Paradise Lost
I
with
find
the
that
vocals.
mental though. I find that mental that the guy from Paradise Lost is in Bloodbath. Remember when we saw him on the same year? And it
Yeah,
took me like a fucking like all the way through the set to realise that it was the same guy.
when he was covered in blood, but I don't think it was.
Yes.
I don't think it was just that. You know, the two completely different bands, but like now you can see the influence from Bloodbath in there because his brutal guttural vocals are carried over.
Yeah, 100%. I fucking love both bands to be fair.
Yeah, would recommend. Check out Obsidian if you haven't.
So my number one, and I feel like you might already know it, Brad. So I kind of want you. I
know.
want you to guess.
It's Justice for the Band.
Of course, it's Justice for the fucking Damned. Justice for the Damned. Pain is power. 3 words. Breakdowns. Breakdowns. Breakdowns.
It's fucking monumental. It's
Right. It's a jaw-dropping, face-crunching, fucking barrage of heaviness. Right. I love this album. I am gutted I can't find it anywhere on vinyl. If anyone's watching that's got a Just for the Damn Pain is Power vinyl, right, and it's a coloured vinyl, I will fucking, I won't suck the dick, right? COVID, yeah?
Yeah.
But if
Not
you've
sick.
got one, I'll pay anything, yeah? I'll fucking pay anything. Obviously,
What's the most you pay?
I would pay 50 for it.
You made it sound like you'd pay like £500. Like I'll pay 50 for it, which is like pretty standard for a
Actually,
vinyl.
I'll pay like not 40, but I'll pay like 60. I'd honestly pay like that's not my max, that's my starting point, right?
Oh, that's your
If you
starting
wanted
bit.
more, yeah, I probably would end up fucking keeling over because I want to get this album on vinyl. It's amazing. It's absolutely fucking amazing. Like
I loved it.
It's like, you know what? This band has not done a bad album, like a bad album or bad track. It's so rare to find. Like, just go through everything they've done. Not one's bad. And I'm like, what is it with bands from Australia? Is there something in the water? No, like, there's so many good Australian bands. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the
There is
thing.
a lot of good Australian bands, you're correct, yeah.
Exactly. So this album is my top album from 2020 because when the first two tracks came out, I would spin them all day, every day.
I really like I think one of the highlight songs is it The House is Burning? Our House is Burning.
The house you built is burning. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one. That was that had a lot of nasty breakdowns in that.
I know. And if anyone listening to this doesn't believe me, doesn't believe how heavy it is, how good the breakdowns are, how fucking mint the album is, yeah, just listen to the opening of No Peace at the Feet of Your Master, yeah, and then come back to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so this album's just mint. I can't actually like fucking express how unbelievable I think it is. Like, this band has like blown up from this one album. Like, there's been constant, and you got to respect the grind. They put constant work in, and they've managed to do tours around America. And you know, being a band from Australia in general, to do a tour in just Australia is hard.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of
And
ground to cover.
they've conquered that, created this amazing album, but then also created an amazing discography like behind it. And I think the sky's up from because I can't pick a fault with this album. I can't. Other albums where I'm like, oh, but I would change this about it. I can't. There's no I would change about this, and that's why it's my number one.
I agree. That is a fantastic album. Vocals on point, and it's just a hard hit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you can put it on and not have a good time.
Each track's like a constant breakdown.
Yeah, which
Like,
is
do you
not
know
a
what I
bad
mean?
thing.
We
It's a
got
good thing.
all the way through. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
oh. You know what I mean?
it makes you look like you got something wrong with your face, like just because you're
Yeah.
doing that face for the entire album.
Well, one benefit, right, of having to wear masks on like public transport and stuff like that, yeah, is when now when I listen to songs, I can actually react the way I normally would react if I was just at home. So, because obviously no one can see my face, I go, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like proper crunch up my face. Do you know what I mean?
I appreciate that, to be honest. Like, it must feel good to be able to do that without getting weird looks.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes you can almost like when you're walking around, you can feel yourself doing it, but you're just like, I better stop and go like a
yeah,
fucking freak.
yeah. Honestly, I sit there like proper crunched up face, just fucking like sat there on the bus.
So yeah, time for my top one. It's going to be Catatonia, City Burials. Now, I know that Catatonia are quite a big band, but I've never really sat down to listen to them. I've always seen them about, but never really thought about sitting down and having a listen. But they brought out this album, and it was, obviously 2020 at the time of listening to loads of new albums. So I just sat down and listened to it, and I got to say, I was just blown away because it's a really dark, gloomy album, very experimental, got a lot of electronic stuff in there. Like it's barely a metal album, but it is at the same time. But I couldn't stop listening to it. Like it's perfect for a rainy day as well, I might say.
Mm,
But I just thought it's really interesting. It shows how to be heavy without being heavy. Like,
mm,
when you listen to an artist, you're like, this is really dark, but
mm,
it doesn't have any breakdowns. It doesn't have any big guitar riffs. Like, it's mostly focused on like the melody, and there is some guitar riffs in there, but it's not conventional, and that's what I like about it. And it's after listening to the rest of Catatonia's discography afterwards, like it does take a different turn to it. And I
mm.
can understand like why it got so much praise this year, and it made me a fan of the band.
Mm.
Like, I don't know, you ever listened to Catatonia?
I haven't actually. I actually
Yeah,
genuinely haven't. Honestly, hands on my heart, haven't.
you might like them actually, because if you like stuff like Sleep Token, that kind of like not dark pop, but you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like dark
Yeah.
album. And like the vocal lines are just epic and sends chills down my spine. Like there's not one song on the album that I don't like, and
Mm.
I'm gonna be spinning this one for a while. That's why I bought it on vinyl. Like it's one of the first vinyls I ever bought.
Mm. Yeah. I wanna listen to it.
You should.
I do want to listen to
I
it.
praise it
I've
for a
literally just
reason.
never listened to. I've never listened to Catatonia.
Honestly, neither did I. Like, they're a big band, and when you see them on like YouTube recommended or you see them on like Spotify recommended, like they've always been there.
Mm.
Like, it's like having something in your cupboard, like the biscuit that's been there for a while. But you just never thought about eating it. But
I
it's
know,
there.
but there's always a risk that it's stale. There's
Yeah,
always a risk.
exactly, exactly. That's it. See, both has created a perfect analogy there. But yeah, it's a good biscuit. It's a really fucking good biscuit, man.
Is it a
We're
chocolate
not so
digestive?
yeah, it's a chocolate digestive, man. It's not a custard cream. Like it's a fucking good biscuit that you want to fucking keep dipping in that tea.
Oh wait, you know what? No, fuck chocolate digestives. Chocolate hobnob. Is it a chocolate hobnob?
Right, first of all, you don't place a chocolate digestive behind a chocolate hobnob.
Why? They're better.
They're not better at all.
Yes, they fucking are.
Right. I mean, if we had more than 8 fans, I'd say to the fans to make a poll and choose which biscuit is better, and I can guarantee that most people would pick a chocolate digestive.
Chocolate hobnob's better.
I'm done with that conversation.
Chocolate digestives are boring compared to chocolate hobnobs. You've got the oats, you've got the chocolate, you've got the hob, and you've got the knob.
That's my case. But yeah, Catatonia, City Burials, great album. It's my favorite one this year. I must have listened to it about 10 times. Like, if you want something still, remains the same gloomy atmosphere, but it's not the conventional type of heavy, check it out. It's brilliant.
Mm. So, top songs, Brad. What's the top song for this year for you?
My top song of the year is going to be Killer Be Killed, Deconstruction Self Destruction.
Mm.
So I've loved Killer Be Killed for so many years, and I don't know if you've checked them out, but like must have been 2013 when they released the self-titled album, and it's still one of my favorite records of all time because when I heard that Greg from Dillinger, Max from Soulfly and Sepultura, and Troy from Mastodon were all going to be in the same band, like nothing can go wrong. It's like the Avengers of metal, and I was so down for it, and every track was fantastic. But I never thought that they'd ever get back together or they'd ever release a new album. And I remember talking to Michael about it, and we said, "Oh, I'd fucking love a new Killer Be Killed record." And out of nowhere, I swear down, the next few days, they made a statement saying that they're releasing the album, and I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" I've been waiting so long for it. Um, it's like when those three get into a room together, they just produce magic. Like
Mm.
you've got Max's crushing brutal vocals, you've got Troy's abstract weird catchy vocals, and you've got Greg's vocals, which is obviously in Dillinger. He's got some brutal vocals, but he's also got some really nice melodic choruses as well. And even the musicianship, like this whole song is all the best bits of the last album in one song. And I think just for the nostalgia purposes, it just has to be my favorite song of the year.
Mm.
Would
Mine
recommend.
is mine's Creep by Alpha Wolf. This is pretty fucking good. I actually really wanted to put Alpha Wolf on my top 5, but again, I was like, I just had more to talk about the other bands, other like albums. Again, if we had a top 10.
In an
No, but
ideal world.
yeah, but no, Creep is very hard hitting. It's very sporadic. I love the vocals, love the guitars, I love the little sort of sirens they've got playing all the way through it. I love the drums. I love everything about this song. And the entire album from Alpha Wolf this year has been pretty fucking
What are they
solid.
like? Because I've never really, I don't think I've heard of them.
They're like a metalcore band.
Oh.
But they're not like Architects metalcore. So I like class I metalcore in like two different sections. Like there's heavy metalcore, but then there's Architects heavy like metalcore.
Yeah, that's very true.
Wait,
So,
yeah, I mean like there's Architects metalcore where everyone copied them. Where Architects are definitely heavy, but they've also got like a little twist to them.
yeah.
Whereas there's some metalcore which is straight heavy. I'd say like the heavy metalcore could possibly be like kill. Let's call it like kill switch metalcore. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd
Well,
say
the
kill.
heavier stuff.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
like kill
definitely.
switch are
Yeah.
heavier than Architects. So let's call it kill switch metalcore that section.
Like in the
Um,
best way. Like I'm not in a bad way at all to do like Architects, but I think they definitely go for the more commercialized metalcore. You know what I mean? A bit more catchy
no,
and
no,
radio friendly.
I think that's a complete misconception of Architects. I think they did it and then everyone copied it. So then everyone made it the commercialized version. But I think Architects is the unique thing. I think
That's true. No, they are
Architects are
unique.
the unique guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the other bands just made it so that what they do is now the commercialized one. Yeah. And then kind of took, you know what? If it's Finn McKenty on the Punk Rock NBA said, if Architects sued all the bands that then ripped them off, yeah, um, their style off, they could buy an island.
I mean, not
Like,
fucking bad, to be honest. Like
you're
I
not
think
wrong.
it's you do get a lot of copycats of metalcore, definitely.
Yeah, but I'd say like Alpha Wolf are quite a heavy band. They're quite heavy at metalcore. They're very interesting. They're really interesting, especially the new album. Very interesting new album. It's very hard hitting. But yeah.
So
So
yeah.
now let's go to top bands. So what's your top band, Brad?
So I think my top band, even though I put like Catatonia at number one from the album, I'd say Paradise Lost would be my number one.
Mm,
I think because it's just a great like as a whole for the band, like they are continuing to progress, but also keeping a lot of the same styles. And Paradise Lost is a band that I always come back to, but the fact that they've made an album so late in the career that could be considered one of the best is impressive because not many bands can do that. Like a lot of bands will burn out after the fifth album. I'd say like that always happens to be the turning point. Not naming
mm.
a few, but we all know for some.
Go on,
So
name it, name it. Go
Metallica,
on.
there I said it because we're never gonna get to the podcast. Okay, they've made one or two good albums after that, but as a whole, I do feel like a lot of bands do burn out and they lose the touch after that. I think it's definitely a thing with like bigger bands because once they get a bit more commercialized, you know, they kind of lose the love for it. They kind of just want to keep making more money. But some bands, even after a long career, they still love doing what they're doing. And I know that Paradise Lost have so many influences to bring to the table, and judging by the sheer amount of albums that they've done, every single one has got a story to tell.
Mm,
So I'd say Paradise Lost, just for
mm.
keeping the fuel going.
I'd say just for the damned because
Understandable.
they're just so good. They're just so good. I can't wait for like you know what? I already can't wait for the next album. I want to know. I want it now.
I can't wait for them to come to the UK, to be honest.
I know, I know. I've only seen them once, and that was 2019, end of 2019. And it was so class.
I've
It
only
was.
seen the YouTube videos that you showed me of them live, and I was just like, oh,
Well, I remember when I
it's really
first
good.
showed you. I remember when you first showed you. I remember what your first words were.
Nah.
Your jaw like dropped to the floor, and then you went, "Why have I never seen this before?"
Felt like I had like a bit of an epiphany, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like, "Why have I never?" And you're like, "This is everything I like in like one little package."
Exactly. That's a digestive right there, man.
I know that's perfect, perfect sort of like overall description of Justice for the Damned is like everything you like in one little package.
Yeah. And there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's how things should be.
Oh yeah. So, what's your best new discovery? What's the best new discovery that you found?
So you'll be proud, Nathan. And I know that you're going to take all the credit for showing me them,
I
but
mean, I saw your notes and I know what's coming.
it's going to be Sleep Token.
Of course, it's Sleep
Yeah.
Token.
I know that they're not, they're not a band that came out this year, but that's not part of the rules. We never said that it has to be a band from this year for the top discovered art. It's something I've discovered this year. So, Sleep Token. Like, I listened to Jaws first, which is amazing, and then I listened to the new album. So, it's a bit like what I said about Catatonia. Like, it's dark, but it's not like it's very on the lines of being metal or at least hardcore or something like that. It's something of its own. Like, you could even class it as a sort of abstract pop album.
What's mad is they got played on Radio 1.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah, they actually
wow.
did. They got played on Radio 1. Because I only know that because Siobhan was in her boss's car. Her boss was giving her a lift home, and a song comes on. She goes, "This sounds really familiar." And the minute that he starts singing, they go, "She's like, this is fucking Sleep Talking," and it was on Radio 1.
That's really good to see them getting the recognition that they deserve. Like, they absolutely have potential to be big. And I think especially like I love what they're doing with like hiding their identities. I mean, I know it's been done before, like, with Slipknot until they released, who they are, Mushroom Head, all that kind of stuff. But I still think even though it's a bit gimmicky, like I like that in a band. I like a band that does something a bit more abstract in that way.
The thing is that I think has given them that edge to grow as quickly as they did is by hiding their like identity, because it's almost given a hype to the band because people are like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
And B, it's sort of created like a law behind the band. It's like, that fucking guy Corpse who
Yeah.
makes like TikTok songs.
Is that the guy that's in the PewDiePie videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Corpse makes music and it gets shit on the
I need to put the camera back on. Sorry. Okay.
But yeah, so Corpse, he gets a shit tons of listens. He makes music. No one knows who the fuck he is. And I think that's helps add to it. There's a bit of lore that gets added to it. But it's like, who are these guys? I mean, like, who are they? I want to know who they are.
You've got this thing where because nobody knows who they are, people only can focus on the music. Like, if you've got band members, like, there's that whole kind of side, like, especially if, I don't know, for example, there's like a celebrity in a band or if there's someone that people know already, like, there's a lot of things when you look towards that side of things as opposed to looking behind that and only focusing all the attention on the music, which is important.
Yeah. You know what? I knew the minute I listened to him, I was like, Brad's gonna like these guys. And I remember I said, you motherfucker, I sent you one of the tracks, and you're like, yeah, I listened to it. And then I went around to yours, I was like, did you listen to that track? And you went, no. I was like, oh.
I do that. Guilty as charged. I do that sometimes. It's just if I'm busy there, but the moment I did listen to them, I was impressed.
Yeah.
And so I do want to get the new album on vinyl.
You can buy like the full discography for 120 quid.
I might just go for one album for now.
I'm gonna buy the full discography. I saw the bundle and it's like everything they've ever done, and I was like, it's worth 120 quid to be fair.
You just fingers are slowly going over the checkout button on Amazon or something.
Oh, my tattoo got cancelled and I saved $250 for that, so I'm half tempted to do it right now.
Who knows?
Cheers, Boris.
You just like, honestly, vinyl collecting in general is so addictive. Like you spend time just like searching through them, and then you'll add one to the basket. Oh, I might save this for a rainy day, and you're just like, I could just press checkout. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And next minute you're like fucking 50 quid down because you bought 2 vinyls.
I remember like your one day in to vinyl collection, you messaged me going, I spent £100 on vinyl.
Oh yeah, I did that last time.
I was like, what? You're like, I don't know what's happened.
And the crazy thing is, Nath, it's fucking worth it.
Yeah, I know it is. That's the thing.
It really is.
I've got 27 at the minute, 27 vinyls in my collection, and I've had to buy like 2 big ass cases to hold them all because the other case is full of vinyl at the minute.
Yeah, my shelves are getting full.
Yeah, that's the problem. It fills up so quick. My best new discovery though is a band called Dude Sesquipes. Gator.
I just know for a fact you pronounced that completely wrong.
Do Sescada. I can't pronounce it, right? But it's just a fucking. Can we put a track up? Right? Can we put like a little bit? Yeah? Because fuck me, this band is actually really interesting.
I'll try and play like a bit of song from each one.
Yeah. So the thing is, this is what's interesting about them. They use singing like Sleep Token, but then they've got harsh vocals mixed with muddy bass. And it's very raw, very creepy. And if you can, by the way, everyone, you can pre-order their new album out, which is the one I've listened to, which is fucking sick, on Evil Greed, and it's a pretty sexy little design, to be fair. But yeah, this band's actually probably been one of my favorite new discoveries because I've been listening to them quite a lot. And it's like I think it's literally two guys that do it. It's literally two guys that make it, and
That's impressive.
yeah, and there's a lot of clean singing. It's a very interesting band, and I fucking love it.
It's not something I'd like, to be honest.
It's interesting. I think I've sent you the album.
Is that what you sent the other day?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was like, listening to it, and it's hot. Remember what I said about the End album, where it sounds like it'd be played in a fucking cave in Iceland somewhere?
Yeah.
Exact same thing. Like it's like, whoa.
I know which vibe you're talking about.
Yeah. I'll send it to you when we're done. But yeah, if you haven't checked out, Dude sets Gator. I honestly, I can't pronounce it. I'm really sorry. It's just a really odd pronunciation. I'm from Yorkshire. I struggle talking in general.
Yeah, he did his best, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching our awards show. Again, also, big shout out to the Grammys for letting us do this.
Also, I just thought we'd take the moment, to talk about something and kind of give a little bit of a thank you. Last year, we started doing band interviews, and I just want to give a massive thank you from like the deepest depths of my heart and everyone that did it that did it last year. So a big shout out to Cryptic Shift, a big shout out to Albion Codex, a big shout out to Pariah, a big shout out to Fetal Juice, and a big shout out to Macromorph.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big thank you to the bands coming, which we do have a few in the works. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, we are talking to a couple people. It's going to be very interesting. Headbangers is going international, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. But no, honestly, it's been the most fun we've had on the podcast, getting to sit down and speak to like these amazing, talented people. And I'm very much looking forward to like speaking to the people that we're gonna in the future.
Yeah, I also feel like we're gonna get we're probably gonna get a few people asking where, the general podcast episodes are going. The problem is because of COVID, there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's no news.
Yeah,
there's no news.
To be honest, we have more fun doing these interviews, so that's where it's actually gone to. Like, we are just interviewing people.
It's the direction we want to take it in, and I think also because we can't really be together at the moment due to COVID, like we want to make sure that we're together having a good laugh with it, like the standard podcast episodes. But once we get some more ideas for what we can do with that, we'll do it. But at the moment, we are enjoying doing the band interview format, and there's a lot of exciting things to come. So stay tuned.
Yeah, like the band interviews are just really fun. You always get to it's really weird. The more you interview them, the more used to interviewing you get, and also the weird thing is like you realize how very different each band is to interview.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, everyone's been unique in its own way, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of fun. So a big shout out and a big thank you to everyone that actually answered us when we asked them and went, yeah, sure. Like a big shout out to them.
And a big thank you to the listeners as well.
Yeah. Well, can I pull up our stats for this year?
Go on.
I'll pull up our stats for this year and last year, and I am actually quite proud of them because considering that we've only been on Spotify for a couple months, our stats are okay. Like we've grown pretty well. Like at the minute, we're sitting at 1 second, the website's fucking loud and it's surrounded in the fucking graph.
No, I'm super happy with the reception that we've got. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've actually had people like message me saying, "Oh, I really like the podcast." Which is like I always really appreciate that shit. But yeah, we've had in total 114 streams on one of our last episodes.
It's brilliant.
So like, I mean, when you look at it, when we only had like where the most we'd get is 50, like this is pretty good, and that's just on Spotify. We've got like 50 everywhere else.
Yeah.
So we're doing okay.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for me and Nathan. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the awards show. If you want, let us know what your top picks were of the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll
See you in
see
the
you in
next episode.
Yeah, see you in the next episode. Catch you later.
See ya.